As I am walking, enjoying nature, reconnecting, grounding myself, this is my time to think. And as I'm clearing space from my heart, mind, and spirit, I am thinking about past relationships. In thinking about past relationships, I cannot omit my first marriage. My only marriage, but my first marriage. I was in a dysfunctional, highly dysfunctional relationship. I was, there were many fights. I will say, I can relate to a man putting his hands on a woman, but I cannot relate to a man just beating a woman. And the only reason I can't relate to that is because I have always been a fighter. And you're just not gonna beat me at anything. You might win. Now that you might win, but you will not beat me or defeat me at it. I might have to regroup. Nonetheless, let me not get sidetracked. I was thinking about how the kind of love I've always dreamed of has never appeared. And why is that? Because it can't be that it's not available. It has to be that I wasn't available. And by not being available, I don't mean being in the midst of trying to get to know someone, trying to build bonds, trying to grow something. I mean spiritually, emotionally, at a level of maturity where if that particular type of love ever presented itself, I was never ready. I was having a conversation with a divine feminine, and we were discussing my views on societal roles and how the divine feminine has been cast in these roles, unwillingly, sometimes unknowingly, definitely, I'm sure, a lot of times regrettably. And she said, well, every woman is not a divine feminine. And I said, yes, she is. She said, no, not when they're out there doing all the disgusting things that they do. That does not make her a divine feminine. Having a wound and melanin makes you a divine feminine. Whether you are walking in your divinity or not, you are still a divine feminine. We have to remember who we are. It's going to be a process. It's going to be a tedious. Ooh, it's going to be hard. But we got to remember who we are. So when reflecting on my relationships, I thought about the roles that I've had to play in life. I've chose some roles that I was really good at, dangerously good at, to the point that I had to step away from some of those roles because I didn't see myself being in danger. I saw my personality developing into something that could cause danger in someone else's life. Because I know what it's like to have danger in your life, I would never want that to happen to another person, and I would never want to be the person that brought danger into someone else's life. But the game was hardening me, and I had to step aside because I had two soft little girls I had to raise. I put on a level of masculinity that many divine feminines have had to step into fortunately and unfortunately, we have the power, the capability, and the authority to do so. Whew. Also, it can be overwhelming, overpowering. It can keep us from being and tapping into the divine feminine energy that we all hold. That masculinity, that toxic masculinity that we sometimes embody, comes up overworking, trying to achieve, making us overachievers in competitions that we don't even realize, that other people don't even realize they're in. It can make us be over sexualized or over put ourselves out there in levels looking for love, but mistaking sexuality and for intimacy, not recognizing what intimacy is, not recognizing that intimacy is a tool that we have that allows us to constantly connect with not just other people, but to connect with ourselves. And when I say that, I don't say that in a physical type of way. I'm speaking in a spiritual way, as in getting to know who you are by thinking about who you are, thinking about the things that have made you into who you are, and thinking about how you reacted in situations. We often mistake, so never mind. Getting back to the softness that we embody, we have had to step into masculine roles that have forced us to sit our softness on the shelf, whether that's come from whatever it's come from. Even I see women that have husbands that are still very masculine. Even some of those that don't even realize they're being masculine are being masculine. It's a defense mechanism. It is a mode in which we have switched on because we were forced to. I went to work one night and me and my ex-husband had got into a fight. Normally, I didn't bruise around the face, but this particular time I had a bruise right at my cheekbone going up to my eye. My eye wasn't black. It was blue, but it wasn't black. I sat down at the table in the break room with one of my older cousins, and she said, well, Nene, what happened? I told her what happened. She giggled and laughed. She said, what you gonna do? And I said, I'm leaving. She said, you might as well not leave. Them girls love him. He they daddy, and men settle down. And once he get tired, he'll settle down. And woo, baby Copperhead. Hoo, 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 hoo. Can y'all see that? I don't play with them. I'm going back this way. I ain't gonna keep going that way. What are snakes doing out? I ain't finna play with that. Anywho, yes, I got a stick and I got another weapon, but I'm not getting ready to play with that creature. He's wanting to bathe in the sun. I'm gonna let him bathe in the sun. Okay, back to the story. So she said, you might as well just stay. That broke my heart. I said, you must be crazy if you think I'm gonna stay there and there. She said, what? I said, I'm divorcing him. Nene, you ain't gonna divorce him. I said, I sure am. Well, do you think you ever get married again? That's a whole nother conversation, because I did tell her I was getting married again, and I gave her specific details on the man that I'm going to marry, and I will marry that man. And I'm just telling this story so to bear witness too. She also told me, well, if you think you can get that kind of man, then You go ahead and you try to get that kind of man. You know what? And that's all right. Because as I think back from that day, because I must have been 26 or 27. I was young in the game. I was young. I was coming out of all sorts of trauma and dysfunction and abuse and all sorts of stuff. Low self-esteem, low self-worth, promiscuity. I was coming out of all of that. I had been married. I had been faithful to my husband, and that was it. Whew. But then I thought about her life. And what she spoke over my life happened to her. She said he'll settle down when he get tired. Her husband has all sorts of health problems, and I think they had to force him to sit down. They probably been married about almost 60 years. Of that 60 years, from what I seen, if I had to gauge the worst 3 marriages I've ever seen, or the characteristics of the worst marriage that I could be in, that would probably be in the top 3 of marriages that I would list. That I know of people, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. That's crazy. That a divine feminine would wish the hell that she was living on another divine feminine, instead of seeing that divine feminine that came to her for advice as her way out, as her way of encouragement, as her way of paying it forward. I would never give somebody the advice to normalize going to work in a community with a black eye. I would never normalize staying in an abusive marriage or relationship or any type of toxicity for the sake of waiting for someone else to get tired and sit down. After that conversation, my masculinity changed. It increased in levels. Because I left my husband probably a month, maybe a month or 2 later. And I had to put on a different hat, some more different hats. All I can say is, in order to get what you want in life, what you know you deserve, you gotta be willing to deal with the things that you accepted that you didn't deserve. And you gotta be willing to deal with why you accepted those things, you have to. It is a reflection of who you are internally. And if you switch relationships and get another marriage and you take all those things with you, guess what? You'll live the same marriage just with a different person. That is not capable of happening in my life. I am so thankful that I am able to remember these things and revisit these things. I was a fighter. That man would say something to me and I might, it didn't start like that though. It definitely didn't start like that. I'm just not a woman. Let me tell you something. I'm not proud of where I've been, but I'm proud of who it made me. I'm not proud of causing pain in other people's lives, because I know I have. But I'm proud of being able to see it, hopefully correcting it with those individuals and moving forward either with or without them. And I say hopefully correcting it with those individuals, because every broken relationship does not require any type of confirmation, consolation, closure, none of that stuff. Some relationships, walking away should be all the closure you need. I used to have a saying when I was younger, and I used to say, when people cross me and I walk away from them, I don't want them to have a bad day. I don't want them to have a bad week. I don't even want them 4 or 5 years from now to bump into me in the grocery store and smile and laugh. I want them to remember me for the rest of their lives. And I want them to hate that they ever met me. And the reason I said that is because I've always done my best to treat people how I wanted to be treated. I will say that with interpersonal relationships, family dynamics, it doesn't always appear that way. Especially when you have multiple people talking about situations that they can't change, I've never understood why you would talk about a situation with people who cannot change the situation. At work, in play, in personal, I've always said that, always. Why are we talking about this? Why are we not talking about this to the people who can change it? Makes sense. It's causing extra stress. Sometimes you just have to walk away. Sometimes you just have to be willing to pray for somebody one last time to offer them some grace. Sometimes. Divine Feminine, it's going to be hard for us to get to our softer sides. But I believe the universe is sculpting the hearts of the divine masculine so that they can receive us and handle us in our brokenness, in our constant attempts to do better, and seeing that we want to thrive instead of just going through the motions. That comes with a level of security and safety. And I believe that there is a generation of men that is being prepared for us, as we have been preparing ourselves for them also. That message ain't for everybody, because you know if you've been preparing yourself. If you have not been preparing yourself, and your ideas, your thoughts, your dreams, your visions take you to a place with a love that you never thought you could have, if that's the direction you want to go in, I'm going to tell you this. You can't keep doing the same thing, picking the same type of men from the same places, doing all of this. The same relationship starts the same. Every relationship starts the same and ends the same. You got to do something different. Since you can't change anyone else, start working on you. The people closest to you will be the last ones to see the changes that you're making. Don't let them get you down. It's just that they are closest to you, so they saw you when you were at your worst. And they remember the hurt, the pain that you caused them and that they seen you cause others. And so they're still in that. Those people, though, will see it. They will see it. They might not always cheer for you. They might not cheer for you at all, but they'll see it. And just keep the faith. Just know that you should never underestimate the power of a woman, especially if she got some melanin in her, because that's that superpower stuff. And that's that chemical of life, that memory chemical. And with that being said, I'm almost 20 minutes in, which is a long video. But remember who you are, Divine Feminine. Remember who you are.